Good evening, welcome. Yes, it's Leicester Fan TV. It's Monday night, it's 7:30. My name's Phil. If you're watching this live, get your views in, get your comments in. Loads to talk about as ever. It was a win against Watford at the weekend on Saturday, 2-0. We got there in the end, and that's all that matters, is getting the results in. How did you think we played? Who played well? Who was man of the match? What did you think to Vardy's performance? 2 goals came on, and did he save the day, or were we doing just fine? Obviously, Wednesday, it is Wednesday. Are you going? I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to go up there. It's been a while since I've been up to Sheffield Wednesday. I think this was the last time I went. Yes, Coca-Cola Cup final replay. Were you there at that match? I'm sure we can talk about that a little bit today. Even though it wasn't against Sheffield Wednesday, it will make us all remember that fantastic night up there. So next 30 minutes, get your views in, get your comments in, and talk all things Leicester City in tonight's Fanzone show. Thanks to these sponsors.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content, like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live. Thanks to our sponsors: Everard's, Follow Blinds, Pocker Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Foxes Arms and Rainbows. We are live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the show. Don't forget, you can follow us down there at Leicester Fan TV on all the socials if you want. Don't forget, this show, there's no script. It's me and you. So get your views in. We get as many on screen as we can. Good evening, Bubba, watching out there in the States. Hope you're well. What did you think, Bubba, to that win against Watford? Pleased with that. It's the result that counts, and that was good. What did you think to the performance? Andy, good evening to you. Hope you're well. Get your views and your comments in. Carlos seemed at 60 minutes was going to be a 0-0, but Vardy shows up when we need him. I've got to be fair, Carlos. I think that Jamie Vardy, I still think that we should be using him more as a sub to come on and save the game. That's my personal thing. But what do you think? Do you think he should be the super sub and that threat if it's not going right, or do you think we should start him? Kian says if we manage to not beat Sheffield Wednesday, I know, absolutely, they are rock bottom. Sheffield Wednesday have played 17 games and got 6 points. They've won 1 game and drawn 3 games. It should be a shoo-in, shouldn't it, on Wednesday? It really should be a comfortable win, but not always the way. Michael watching on YouTube. Don't forget, we're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of them tonight. Vardy, man of the match. Would you agree with that? He came on and saved the day in there a little bit. Scooby says, what are we lacking that we need to bring into the club in 2024 player-wise? Scooby, I guess we're entering into December and the January transfer window opens in about 30-something days. So I guess that is going to be one of the topics that fans want to start ask, isn't it? So how would you answer, Scooby? Who do you think we need to buy? I've been speaking with a lot of people saying we need to sign a striker. But haven't we just done that with Cannon? Isn't he going to come in and do that? And maybe even McAteer? Do we need to sign a striker? What's your views on that? Andy watching on YouTube. Good evening, Andy says, 3 points is 3 points, but for the love of God, that first half was not a ball fest. Is Andy allowed to say that? I hear what you're saying, Andy. I've been saying it all season at times. It's that be patient, but be patient, and you've got to watch a lot of passing. I don't care as long as we win. I'm going to always be happy this season. That's all I want. Daz, good evening. Hope you're well. The councillor, evening, sir. Hope you're well. Matty, if you're well, good evening to you. Don't forget, I have put in the links. I'm going to just share it one more time. If anybody wants to, obviously, get your views in, get your comments in. But if you are brave enough and you want to come on, click on that link and you can come into the StreamYard, and I'll give you a few moments to get your views in, because people get bored of hearing what I want to say. So get your views in, get your comments in, just like Jono did last week. Joe said, good evening. Just want to point out that I think we only need to focus on ourselves now. No point looking at the results. We are in full control, even after dropping 6 points in there. Well, yeah, Ipswich, obviously, we can see that we are now 3 points clear of Ipswich. We are 10 points clear again of Leeds. It's such a shame we didn't beat Leeds, but we are 10 points clear of them. Southampton are there at 31. But again, it's funny, isn't it? We needed that win against Watford. I really feel we needed that win just to get us back out of that. We wouldn't have wanted to made it 3 defeats on the trot, would we? Carlos says he agrees. Vardy as a sub last quarter, bit of a super sub. Surely at his age and how it works, it makes more sense to bring Vardy on for like we did against Watford for that 30, 35, 40 minutes. What a player. You imagine if you're one of the other Championship teams we're playing and they see Vardy come on, you know, a Golden Boot winner, Premier League winner coming on, it's bound to put the fear of it into them. How will he be against Sheffield Wednesday? It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Because have we played? Here's a question for you. I'm no stato. So two questions for you lot watching this. I know you'll know and I don't know. So here's question number 1. So this is the shirt from the Coca-Cola Cup final. Have we played at Sheffield Wednesday since 1997? Obviously, we didn't play Sheffield Wednesday that night. We played Middlesbrough. We played at Hillsborough. I remember standing in the corner in the rain, very wet night. So great night. If you've got any memories of that night, let's have a chat about it. Have we played at Sheffield Wednesday since then? We must have done, haven't we? I'm trying to remember. So that's question number 1. Question number 2 is, has Jamie Vardy played against Sheffield Wednesday before? Am I being thick? I'm trying to remember. Has he played against them before? And has he played against them for Leicester? I'm trying to remember back to last time we were in the Championship. Obviously, they've been down. They've been League One. We've been around League One and come back up. So I'm being honest. I just can't remember. And I didn't check it out in there. So do let us know. Do you remember? Have we played up at Hillsborough since the 97 final? We must have done. We must have done. That's 26 years ago. But has Jamie Vardy played against Sheffield Wednesday? Has he played against them when he's been at Leicester? Interesting to know if you can remember that. Coming back to Watford and Sheffield Wednesday, Andy says give Cannon a game. It must be about time for him to get some time in there. Richie says Jamie Vardy got Leicester City out of trouble on Saturday. He certainly did, didn't he, Richie? Hope you're well, by the way. Have you recovered from that cold? Reedy's here. Oi, oi. You all right, Reedy? You had a good day? Talk us through it. Anyway, Andy says, Nacho says, Nacho looked totally uninterested. Could Andy and anybody else who's watching this, a few rumours, people were asking about transfers into the club in January. There has started to come a few rumours of Leicester players who could leave in January. Nacho is one of those I've read about, could go. And Diddy is another one who could go in January. They've obviously, both of those have only got 4 or 5 months left on their contract from January. So I think both will see the season through. But is Nacho, is that just how he plays, Andy? Get your views in, get your comments in. Matty says, Nacho out, never rated him, pulling out of challenges Saturday, unforgettable. So that's Andy Medhurst and Matty Bond not impressed with Nacho on Saturday. What do you think to that? The year we came up, we lost 2-1 at home. We won 2-1 and 2-1 at home. We lost 2-1. JB, I'm getting what you're saying. We did play Sheffield Wednesday. That would have been about 2013, I'm guessing. JB, help me out there. Help me out with my stats. Matty says, oh, we've had that one, Matty. Richie says, yes, Leicester City played Sheffield Wednesday away 2013-14. Jamie Vardy played against Sheffield Wednesday last time. Thank you for that, Richard. You see, I couldn't remember, so thank you so much for putting me right now. I know you lot would remember, better brains than me. Patrick, good evening, sir, says, with Nacho and Daka going to the AFCON, and I think Ndidi will go as well, won't Patrick? We'll leave us short on strikers. I know you're talking about the striker situation in there. Yes, I guess there'd be Vardy, there'd be McAteer. Mavadidi is rumoured to be able to play up top as well. And Cannon. So would we need to sign a striker? What will the club do? If we're looking hot to trot for the Premier League, surely the club, the time to invest for next season, if we get to the Premier League, will be in January, won't it? We'll get better players there. Sean says Vardy old, but still gold. I agree. Is he better coming off from the bench, Sean, with 35, 40 minutes to go? Get your views in there. Ian, the Supervox, watching on YouTube, says, good evening, Phil. Good evening to you, Ian. Hope you're well. He says 3 more points on Wednesday night will do nicely. We should beat them. Again, I don't want to be all hoity-toity, cocky, whatever we're ex-Premier League, but I am going to be today because there is no hope that Sheffield Wednesday should beat us. They're rubbish this season. Absolutely rubbish. They're on 6 points. 6 points. That's all they've scored. They've scored, if I think I'm right in it, they've scored. I'm looking at the table here. They have scored, let's work it out, 8 goals. 8 goals, the table tells me. Sheffield Wednesday have scored 8. Is that right? Am I reading that table right? Let me know how many they've scored. Bubba says, never seen a team with so many near misses. Post crossbars, if we buried even a third of them on against Watford. We had 23 shots. I've been complaining there's not been enough shots on target. It was actually 7 shots on target on Saturday, but 23 shots. That's what we want. That's better. I mean, a hell of a lot of passing. The stats up there are still like crazy high, 65% possession, something like that, 600, 700 passes. But listen, 2 goals is exactly what we needed in there. Gary, good evening. Watching on Facebook says, I think we need to change formation. Gary, you can't do that. We play the Enzo way. I'm not allowed to talk about any other tactics. Even Enzo's coming out and telling everybody to just shut up. Even fans, we play one way and that's how it is. Get used to it, Gary. Anyway, Gary says, I think we need to change formation and also need to get the ball quicker forwards. Not going to happen, Gary. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to think that. Take that from your mind, Gary, and chuck it over there because we can't do that. But while we're winning, I just don't care. That's fine. Neil says, I think the last time we played there and lost 2-1 and Jamie Vardy hasn't played at Sheffield Wednesday. He has scored a couple at Sheffield United, though. Yeah, I love it. I would assume if Vardy, he'll play at some point on at Wednesday against Wednesday. I assume a muted celebration if he was to score against Sheffield Wednesday. It's his boyhood club. Although I think I'm right in saying my memory is that he did play there up until he was 16 and then was released. But I think he is a big Sheffield Wednesday fan. Richie says he's feeling better now. Thanks, Richie. I know you had a cold a couple of weeks ago, so glad you're well in there. Daniel says, do you think we'll see Cannon against Wednesday on Wednesday? It would be a good game for him to come in, wouldn't it? I would agree. Why not? Let's see him in there. Again, he was on the bench against Watford. Could have maybe had 5 or 10 minutes against Watford. You know, you're 2-0 up. Maybe it would have been interesting to see Cannon come on, but maybe with Vardy coming on, the time wasn't right. Chris says get Vardy on against his home club in there, or not. Would you start him? Would you not? Ndidi is back. That's the difference, says Ziv, saying that Ndidi was the difference when he played on Saturday for Leicester against Watford. Do you agree that was the big difference? I know a lot of fans have been saying, like Ziv is saying there, that actually Ndidi in this more forward role, they've been surprised at how effective he's been in there. Do you agree with that? Was it good to get Ndidi back? Some fans might even be thinking that against Sheffield Wednesday, we can rotate a little bit and ease it back a little bit. We've got West Brom on Saturday at 12:30, so that's going to be potentially a much tougher game. So would you rotate a little bit? Do you expect Enzo to rotate? Dorco, good evening, Dorco. Often watches on YouTube, says, always remember when Nacho was attacking and he headed the ball back to the centre circle. He has always been a shadow of the GOAT Vardy. Different players, I agree, but Nacho's been one of those where you go, oh, I'm sure there is a prolific striker there, but whether it's confidence, I don't know what it is. He can have one superb game, a couple of okay games, and then he can have 3 or 4 games where you don't see much of him in there. Listen, everybody who's watching out on Facebook, if you can, I appreciate it. All those who've given us a like and a share. So thank you very much for those of you who have. If you've not, appreciate it if you can do that. And of course, if you're watching it out on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Leicester Fan TV. Plenty more shows. Sam and Reedy tomorrow will be doing a tactics show going through who they think should play. They'll do that live about lunchtime, so make sure you join them and get your views in on who you play. Andy says, I'm going to ask this out to everybody. Andy asks you guys out there, do you think we missed Winks on Saturday? How do you think it was without Winks? We were all a bit worried about it, but in the end, how much did we miss him? Answer Andy there. Let us know in your views and comments. Do you think we missed Winks on Saturday? Let's everybody get your views into Andy Medhurst there watching out on YouTube. Stephen says, I am failing to understand, even though Daka may look like nothing, why he can't play at least 5 minutes. I think, Stephen, it's a really interesting one, isn't it? Everybody who watches my Fanzone show on a Monday knows I didn't rate Daka in the Premier League. I almost don't know what to say about him in the Championship, because if he's half the player that we thought he was going to be when we've paid £20 million for him, surely he should absolutely rip the backside out of Championship sides. If he is that player who scored a tremendous, was it 50 goals in 80 games playing out? I know it was the Austrian league or something, but I always get it wrong. Was it Red Bull's Salzburg he came from? It was one of those Red Bull ones. The Championship should be like putting a kid in a sweet shop and saying, fill your boots, it's all free, surely. So I'm with you. Either Enzo doesn't rate him in training, because I agree. Why again doesn't get anything? I'm not asking for him to have game time at all, because I don't rate him. So perhaps Enzo's saying the same. Just don't rate him. He's not good enough. But why? If he was anywhere near good enough, I mean, blimey, if you can't get in and play in the Championship against Championship sides, I don't know where he goes from here. I really don't. Get your views in. Let me know. Sheffield Wednesday says, Neil, are down there for a reason. Yeah, because they're rubbish. They're rubbish, Neil. He says it's because they're not good enough. They shouldn't have got rid of Darren Moore. I can't comment too much on Darren Moore and all that, but they are absolutely... They're rubbish. Listen, they're rubbish. They've played 17 games. They've got 6 points. They've won 3. They've won 1, drawn 3, lost 13. Goals for is 8. Goals against is 29. They're on minus 21 goal difference. I can't wait to be there on Wednesday. Honestly, looking forward to it. So it should be good in there. Chris says Dennis Pratt needs to play tomorrow. You mean when? It's not tomorrow, is it? I hope not. Blooming heck, I'm going on Wednesday, so I hope it's not tomorrow. But Chris, Dennis Pratt is such an interesting one, isn't he? He certainly could be one of these players who ends up going. Now he's back to fitness. If he's not playing any game time, nobody's going to blame him if he wants to go in January. You're not going to blame Pratt, are you? He's really not had much of a fair chance at Leicester since he's been here. I think he's a much better player than we've seen. I'm annoyed and disappointed that we've just not seen more of Dennis Pratt. I think he's a quality player. Matty says, I love the Enzo way when we're winning. I just love the winning, to be fair with you, Matty. Yes, I'll take it. So keep getting your views and your comments in there. Dorco says, that's it. We've kiss of death. A 0-0 draw then. There's no way. Dorco. Does nobody watching this? We've got a lot of people watching live tonight. If you're watching this live, put in the comments. If you're watching this on playback, you can still have your comment in. No way we'd lose against Sheffield Wednesday. Is there? Am I just absolutely putting the kiss of death on it? It should be a quite straightforward goals for Leicester. They've only scored eight goals. Sheffield Wednesday have scored 8 goals in 17 games, if I'm reading that right. I'm looking at the table and I keep going up and down, but it says goals for is 8. Goals against is 29 for Sheffield Wednesday. Unless that table's lying, which it isn't, they are poor. This is not. You've got to remember, we were playing Rome in a semi-final just 15 months ago. Last year, we were playing, okay, it was a bad season in the end last season, but we were turning up going, we should beat these, or we could beat these. And when we're playing teams like Spurs and Villa and Fulham, and even playing against the Arsenals, even last year, even though it didn't happen for us last year, this is Sheffield Wednesday, and they are honestly not great at all in a Championship league. Scooby Baz says, who do you think been City's best player in the team this season? Going Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. That's an interesting one, Scooby. Go on, might as well have a go. Let's all have a go. I'll tell you who mine is, but I want you to put in your comments who do you think has been our best player so far. I am going to go for Winks. I think he has been our best player, but I've got to say, I think Vestergaard's put in a good shift as well. And Hermansen. Out of everybody, if I had to say out of the new new boys who is definitely Premier League quality, I would say Hermansen, if I'm honest. I think Winks will probably be able to cope back in the Premier League, but I think Hermansen has been very, very good. Get your views in, get your comments in. Gav's going 6-0 Leicester. We're not quite into prediction times, but we can go there if you want. A 6-0 Leicester. I'm thinking we've beaten Sheffield Wednesday 6-0, Gav, in the past. Did we not beat them 6-0 at home once? Why am I thinking that? Do you know what? I'm thinking back to a 2 hat-tricks game. I think Lineker and Linet scored 3 goals each, and we got 6. Famous game, old time, obviously. I can't remember who that was. I can't remember if that was Sheffield Wednesday. Again, you guys will help me. You know what it's like. I can't remember these things. My memories. I know we won 6-0 with the Linet Lineker double hat tricks. I remember the front cover with the balls and all that. But I'm sure we've beaten Sheffield Wednesday 6-0 at some point. Maybe I'm going mad in there. Richie says 4-0 to Leicester City on Wednesday night. I like that. I'm looking forward to that. Who's been your player of the season so far? Dean is saying Fatawa. Jonathan is saying Hermansen, thank you. I would go along those lines. And Carlos is saying Winks and Vestergaard. Craig is going Winks in there. Very interesting, Dorco. That's a completely different topic. And do you know what? On Saturday, I was talking to some mates about Kramaric, and we said it's such a shame it didn't work out for him, because he was one of those you feel like, why did it not work out for Kramaric? Why did it not work out for Dennis Pratt, Leicester? They're good players. It should have worked. It hasn't, has it, against them? Alan saying that 6-0 was against Carlisle, the Lineker Linex. The heady days of Leicester v Carlisle, and is thinking that 6-0. I'll take your word for it, Alan. Thank you for that. Dorco says it's just senile dementia. Who said that? What am I doing here? I shouldn't joke, but it comes to us all. Scooby says it's an age thing. It certainly is. I'll tell you what, though. I can remember the 1982 FA Cup quarter-final against Shrewsbury like it was yesterday. But Saturday's game is already a blur. Linda says Winks. Thank you, Linda. Richie says Fatawa in there as their player of the season. Craig saying maybe it'll be a 9-0. You mock, you jest, you never know. Neil says if the players have the right mindset, then we should win comfortably. But then if not, it will be tough. As we know, football is a funny old game, says Neil. And just suddenly you've made me think of, obviously, Ian Greaves with the funny old game there, and makes us think that we've not touched on Terry Venables tonight. So I know a lot of Leicester fans are also England fans, and in particular, we'd all like to probably pass on our memories and best wishes of Terry Venables. I know personally that Euro 96, that was probably me being... What a summer that was. I think I was about 25 there, so it was down the pub. England. What a time. So Terry Venables, from me, thank you for everything you did for England back in that time. But what a sad news that came out of the blue yesterday. So if you've got any Terry Venables memories, pop them in. We'll have a quick chat about him before we go. Gav says Vestergaard has really stepped up this season. Gav, I say it every week, he's not stepped up. He's stepped down to the Championship. That's all. He should be Premier League. You know, he's played X amount of seasons for Southampton, and he's a Danish international. So again, the Championship should be a doddle. He's, I don't know. I think he's done great in the Championship. So I don't think he's stepped up. I think he's just found a level that actually he should be more than good at. He's paid 70 grand a week. A defender who's paid 70 grand a week because he's meant to be that good should be able to cope with the Championship. But I agree. Well done. Got to be careful what we say there. Stephen says McAteer was better quality. Unfortunately, he got that injury. Yeah, Stephen, how do you think he's played since coming back? Is he still a little bit tentative, or how do you think that's going in there? Michael saying Keane and Dewsbury Hall is player of the season in there. Just a few comments. I know Leicester fans, we'd all obviously pass on our best. So Carlos is mentioning that in there, and so is Richie. Well done, and Craig. Thank you for all those. I don't know who this is because it's in the Facebook group. Did you see Enzo's comments after the game? Seems very stubborn. It's working right now because we're winning, but that style of play needs tweaking. I don't know who said that, so it's difficult to obviously say your name. I do agree. I think Enzo is stubborn. While you're winning, you can be stubborn, just like Brendan Rodgers was pretty stubborn with how we played on Club Puel. It's when it starts to go wrong that you get some people will say we need to see some changes in tactics. So it's interesting in there, isn't it? Richie says 1996, my dad married my mum. Okay, thanks for that. in there. Ian says 15 million for Vestergaard doesn't look too bad anymore. Ian, I keep saying it. 50 million for a championship style defender. If you want, that's up to you. I don't think for a second Vestergaard is probably good enough back for the Premier League next year, but who knows in there. Would you like to see Alves get some game time, says Andy Medhurst? I would, but I'm totally with Enzo. Let's pick the players to do the job at the moment. Obviously, the young lad Alves took that big injury. A lot of hope on him. I think hopefully as the season goes through, and fingers crossed, if we do start to really pull away, then definitely some game time. I think at some point, fingers crossed, it gets going so we can start to look forward to next season and start to plan for it. But that's going to be an interesting one in there. Jonathan says 3-1 to Leicester on Wednesday in there. And Scooby says 4-0 to City for sure. And now, listen, nobody seems to have answered. Were you at Hillsborough when Leicester won the League Cup? My lovely shirt here, signed by some of the players. I don't know. I seem to have found this one out from the bottom of the drawer. Were you at Hillsborough that day? Let's have a few memories on it. 1997. I think the first game was obviously at Wembley, 1-1. Emil Heskey scored to make it 1-1. But then the replay, I think the replay was something like 4 days later. I think I'm right in saying, I mean, they don't have replays anymore. They certainly don't have cup final replays like that. But I think we pretty much went to Wembley on the Saturday. And then I think it was 4 days later, we were up at Hillsborough because they didn't have a League Cup replay at Wembley. So I remember going up there. It was all frantic trying to get tickets and then get up there. And my memory of the night is where the Leicester fans will be on Wednesday is the Leppings Lane end, obviously the infamous Leppings Lane end. But we stood up in the corner, in the V, between the two stands. I don't think that's still there, but it used to be a standing. We were quite high up, standing. There was no roof. It absolutely slashed it down. I remember because we'd all got back in the day, back in the late 90s, it was all beanie hats, painted faces, ticker tape, balloons. It was a different way of watching football slightly. It was quite boisterous, but we got soaked to the skin throughout the whole match. That was my memory. And obviously, Stevie Claridge scored the winning goal. A great night. Really, really noisy. And the journey back from Hillsborough with what must have been 20-odd thousand Leicester fans was a fantastic journey home, fantastic around the ground. So Patrick, yes, was there, sat behind Frank Rowling and a few other squad players who were not involved. Thank you for that. Somebody in the Facebook group says, I was at Hillsborough behind the goal. What a game that was. Stevie Claridge did the business for us. It was. Scooby says it's seating now. So that corner bit's still there. Oh, look, where I'm sitting on Wednesday, I don't, how do you describe what you say? If that's the goal, so if we're in the Leicester end, I know I'm just behind the goal where my seats are. So I'm going to have a good look up there and see where it was. I was at the FA Cup final, though, when they won. Dorco, are you talking about the 2001? You talking about that one? Yes, I was there too. We were lucky. We were the lucky. Try not to brag about it because a lot of Leicester fans deserve to be there and sadly wasn't there. Ben, you can just, what, you're 2 years old, mate? You're making me feel old. Mind you, I was only 3 years old when I was there, Ben, as well. So just hardcore. I was there when I was 3. Liam says, it's still there. They've just removed the seats and coloured it in blue. All right. I look forward to seeing it. It was there. Dean says, January 3rd, 1987, we won 6-1 at home against Sheffield Wednesday. Alan Smith got 2 and a Steve Moran hat-trick. I thought we'd given Sheffield Wednesday a good stuffing at some points. Dean, thank you for that. I thought we'd scored 6. I didn't know they got the 1 in there, but thank you for that. Bob was there in the main stand. Posh seats, Bob. I remember it being such a scramble to get tickets. Back in the day, forget online queuing. This was, you used to have to make up some cock and bull excuse to your boss of like, oh, I've suddenly got a dentist appointment. What we had to do, we had to go down to Filbert Street and queue to get tickets. I remember standing in queues for playoff finals and these sorts of things. You used to have to go and queue from the members stand or the Carling stand. What was it? Probably the Carling stand in 97. Back down Filbert Street. You used to go as a little group of 2 or 3 of you. With all your stubs that you collected to prove that you could actually get a ticket. And then you'd be taking it in turns to go down to the corner shop to get some Watsits or whatever. But that's my memories. It's like going, oh my God, we got a draw at Wembley, great. Now we've got to go and queue at Filbert Street, get some tickets in there. Ian says, didn't get tickets for the replay, but I was at the final at Wembley. Yeah, I know, Ian. He says, first ever game when I was 10 years old. It was tricky to get tickets because obviously at Wembley, I think they gave us, it was a League Cup final, so you got about 35,000 tickets for the Saturday game. And then I think it was just the Wednesday, but I think there was only 20,000. So it was like, and obviously everybody wanted to be there. Costa says, how much for the shirt? It's priceless, mate. It's probably worth not a lot, but it's priceless to me, mate. So I'm going to keep it. Pontus Kamark, man of the match that day, certainly was at the Wembley game. I don't remember. Pontus, I think, still played in the against Juninho, against in that cup final in the replay. I certainly remember at Wembley that it was all about Pontus Kamark locking Juninho out. Liam says, I'm a Wednesday fan, and the last time we played when we were bottom of the league, we won 2-1. No chance of that. Liam, fair enough. You're watching this. You're a Sheffield Wednesday fan. What is going on at the club? We saw your manager the owner saying, well, he said something like, and I can't quote this but he said something like, if every fan chucks in 100 quid each, we can pay next month's wages. And you go, it's a bit steep asking every fan to chuck 100 quid in, isn't it? But luckily, we've got the best owners in the country. Scooby says, I don't think I will ever forget Steve Claridge score that freak of a goal versus Palace at Wembley with the ref blowing the whistle. That was 96 playoff final against Crystal Palace, Scooby. Good times back then, good times. Richard says, that was a great night. 5-0 this Wednesday. Looking forward to that. 2021 FA Cup final, man. I was there. You were there, Phil. We were there. Let's not brag because we were very lucky to get tickets that day. There was only 6,500 of us there that day. Ben says Nigel Pearson played for Borough in that final, wasn't he? I think you're right, Ben. I think you are right. That is an interesting one in there. Dorco, I have no idea why they're called Sheffield Wednesday. I do not know, or the Owls or anything like that. I'm still trying to get the answer. And again, this is different, but we've just played Watford. I still do not understand why Watford's club badge is a stag. It's clearly a deer, isn't it? A stag. Why are they called the Hornets? I don't get that. Can anybody explain why Watford are called the Hornets, apart from they play in yellow and black? But why have a stag's head on there? Somebody will explain it to me one day. I've only been watching this football for a long time, and I still don't know why Watford are called that. So it's in there. Liam, the Sheffield Wednesday fan, say he's an absolute chance to talk about their owner, and he's turned a Championship League One yo-yo club, and we're losing £2 million per month, and he's asking the fans to pay in there. Listen, if you're at the match on Wednesday, I look forward to seeing you. Come and say hello. Let's come and have a chat. Let us know. Scooby says, did Neil Lennon lift the cup with Walshy that night at Hillsborough? I was too old. Oh, you was too drunk, Scooby. No, just what I think Walshy just lifted it, didn't he? Yeah, now you're getting me to question it, but it was just Walshy, wasn't it, at that cup final? Yeah, if you're going to be at the game, come and say hello to us. I'm there, Sam's there, Jake's there, Reedy's there, I think Tom's there. There's a whole crowd of us there. But if you're there, enjoy the game. Don't forget, tomorrow, Reedy and Sam, about 12:30, 1 o'clock, will go live with a tactics show. And then, of course, Thursday, we've got Fox's Focus with Locks. He'll be looking back at Wednesday night's game and giving you all the views on that, and looking forward to West Brom on Saturday at 12:30. And then the famous aftermath. Hopefully, loads of you got to see Jamie at Saturday at the Watford game. Jamie will be back on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock with the aftermath show. It's a busy old time here at Leicester Fan TV. We've got to beat Sheffield Wednesday. They're absolutely bobbins, as they would say. So come on, Leicester. Looking forward to it. Get some goals and let's march our way all the way back to the Premier League. Come on, Leicester. Looking forward to Hillsborough. See you there.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, Everod's, Barlow Blinds, Booker Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hologram, Take Me, Nubian Cow, The Fox's Arms and Rainbows. Run by the fans, for the fans. Follow us on socials at Leicester Fan TV and visit LeicesterFanTV.com for all the latest news, views and videos.